Because ultimately, if I tell him to pick her and it goes sideways, it's my fault. If I tell him to pick the other one and it goes sideways, it's my fault. So basically, no matter what happens, if it goes sideways, I lose. So the only way I win is to say, hey, I got you 2 really great offers and I got you 6 amazing backup offers and I sold your house for 100,000 over. And I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to make you buy me that dinner we talked about in Vegas. Because that was the deal. I told them if I sold it over a certain price, they were going to have to take me to Vegas and buy me dinner. And we blew that price out of the water. Good job. I am so impressed right now. That is literally life-changingly amazing. I am so glad that you actually took action, right? Because we can take pages and pages of notes, but if you don't take action and implement from week to week, you're not going to get the results. So, wow. That's amazing.
I want the results. So
and you went to meetup.com and you signed up for groups. That's so cool. I know so many people who have launched their careers that way. That is awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Who else? Who has a win for me? Crusher.
What are you talking about?
Crusher? It was a bad week?
No, I just put it back in my name.
You're just boring. Okay, Chris. Chris the Crusher. It's a lot more boring that way. Who's got a win?
That's boring. Sorry.
Give me a win.
Okay, so back to me. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to be rude. But
now I'm Velociraptor.
Oh, dude, if you don't know me, I love dinosaurs in ways you don't even.
I have a Velociraptor story, but Joe first. Go.
Joe and I have a Velociraptor story too.
Hold on, Joe first. It's Joe's time.
Okay, so yep. So we have a second person coming on in Buffalo on Friday, so that's super cool. We are working out the structure for our expansion further into the Albany market. And I've been in heavy talks with some people there, so I'm super excited about that. I think I may have sold one of my properties off market within 3 days of signing the listing contract.
Wow.
Cohasset for $1 million. So
good job.
I will cap within the next 2 weeks. What else can I,
Those are good. Who else has a win? Nicole, you had a fun story. What'd you do the last week or so?
Which story are you talking about?
You have 2 good wins. You should share. You did amazing things the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just got 2 into escrow this week, kind of back to back. So just like a really intense, no sleep, 3 days straight of countering and negotiating for everybody. And one is a single family in Garden Grove. We're in escrow 95 over ask. And the other one is a condo, less than a week. We are, I can't even do the math, 56,000 over ask. And they both are in escrow.
I think I told you guys that I got fired because I called a client to follow up and he almost cut his finger off when I called because he was doing some work. Well, rather than just let it go, I called Nicole and was like, hey, do you want to work with a crazy person? And she was like, yeah, sure. And so she cold called him and then went on to take the listing and then went on to sell the house for $95,000 over asking.
But they still don't know that I know Jon. Like, I never mentioned Jon's name. It's not a warm intro. He did not I just had to pretend I was door knocking in that area and happened to hear he wanted to sell.
Happened to hear that you are my seller, Mr. Crazy Pants. So Nicole saved the day on that one. So good job, Nicole.
Good job. Nicole, do you mind if I ask, what was your intro like when you called him up?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. So I basically said, well, first of all, it was true because I never lie. I don't like to lie at all. I do have a buyer that was looking for the type of house that they have. So it wasn't the exact location. I knew it wasn't going to be an exact fit, but I did have a buyer that I would like to show it to. I said, hey, you know what? Was in your area the other day looking at potential homes for this buyer. Wanted to see if you had any interest in selling. Heard from a neighbor that you might. Okay, so it's a white lie. Sorry. And he was like, I'd sell yesterday if I could. Like, he was just ready. Like, he had already talked to 5 realtors. It was a timing thing 100%. But now we're like BFF. So eventually I'll come completely clean with them when I give them their closing gift and they have their money and it's all good. So yeah, just called him and just let him talk. Like his wife had cataract surgery that day. Like I just basically did whatever I needed to do and listened to them and just said, well, are you okay what if I just come over and take some photos for my buyer? Like, is that something you're okay with? Yeah. And they just let me come over and then just treated it like a listing appointment.
Well, great. Thank you.
Now
Can
we
I ask
did.
a follow-up question?
No, I have one. Nicole, me and him had not gotten clear on the paperwork. How did you bring the paperwork to the table? Did you bring it with you? Did you email it later? Like, how did you transition from, hey, we're talking, we like each other, to, hey, sign here?
It was very interesting because when I got there, he was very frenetic and all over the place and like, excuse me. And he was like working and like kind of like getting him to focus to sit down and talk. But he had taken on so much getting the house ready that he like kind of collapsed in exhaustion. And I just legit maintained eye contact. And I just was like, okay, well, what's your timing? Like, what are you doing about this? And I just started offering solutions and I just had to get him to talk. And then he trusted me. And the wife was kind of like doing her own thing in the back of the house. And it basically came down to the fact that it wasn't a paperwork thing at all. She called me after I left. I didn't have any paperwork with me in the initial meeting. She called me 20 minutes after we left and she's like, he focused on you. Like, you're managing him well. You see him, he sees you. He's taken on too much. He's finally realizing he needs help. And you made an impression. And I was like, I'd love to help. I told him I would help. I will do that. That's all I can do is offer solutions and help. And then she called me back 10 minutes later and she goes, you're hired. Like, you're hired. He needs help. He can't do this. Like, that was that. And so then I came with paperwork the day afterwards. And just then it was a conversation and a talk. And then I also made her do a DocuSign because she's tech savvy, no problem.
I am so proud of you. I could cry. That was amazing. Good job, Nicole.
They're really great people.
John?
They just got away from them.
Jamie?
John, do you have lists for sale by owners?
Yeah. Zillow has them kind of. For sale by owner, fsbo.com or for sale by owner.com is one way. You can bribe the people at Home Depot to tip you off every time somebody buys a for sale by owner sign at Home Depot. But the thing I like the best is to incentivize the people who come to your door. So the Amazon guy, the FedEx guy, UPS driver, mailman, pizza delivery, solar sales, anybody who door knocks and canvasses in a neighborhood should know that anytime they see a for sale by owner sign, that they take a picture of it and they text message it to you, and then you Venmo them $5 or you send them a Starbucks gift card digitally or whatever your agreement is. And that's something you can put on social media to your entire sphere to say, hey, I actually have an example of a post. So if you want to private message me on Facebook, I'll send it to you. One of our agents, Megan in Colorado, my other rock star, she posted it after I talked to her. But basically it was, hey, I don't want to just know what's on the market. I want to know the entire market. And so friends and family, I'd love to send you a cup of coffee on me every time you find a for sale by owner sign. Please text it to me, da-da-da. And the reason that I do it this way is because any for sale by owner who is listing on Zillow or anywhere that you can find reasonably is going to be hit up by a shit ton of real estate agents, because and if they're listing it on Zillow, they may be smart enough to sell it themselves. But the ones that just put the sign in the yard, they are unlikely to receive the same outcome, and they are unlikely to receive any other phone calls. And so my goal in life is to always try and find the for sale by owners that are just the sign in the yard kind of people, because it's going to be a much better relationship intro, more highly likely to turn over, et cetera. In fact, one of the things that we see that is most common is we see a lot of sellers who put the sign in the yard, and that's how they choose their agent. They were never going to sell for sale by owner. They just want to find someone who's proactive. And so by putting the sign in the yard, they know who's proactive enough to call them and work to take the listing, similarly to how Nicole took hers. So does that help?
Thanks. I'll DM you on Facebook. Yeah, it helps.
Cool. Yeah. Private message me on Facebook. I will direct you to the post. And then that post went kind of viral. And then everybody keeps giving credit to the wrong person. And I'm over here like, that was my idea. but it's okay. But like 10 people, it's like super, it's gone all the way down the rabbit hole now. So here we are. All right, any other wins anybody wants to share from last week? Any amazing things happen before we get into kind of topics and some meat and potatoes while Dylan munches?
I have a coming soon in Granada Hills, 700,000,
Woo-woo.
April 1st.
How'd you get that one?
I was actually a realtor.com lead, and stayed on top of her and got the listing appointment.
Do you have the date on which it came in originally?
Late February.
Okay.
I would say like the last day of February.
Okay. And how many times did you have to follow up to convert it?
You know what? Quite a few times, because the husband was the one reaching out, and then I had to win over the wife. The wife was just like kind of putting it off, like no, like we still haven't found a house, and just not being cooperative.
And
But,
so if
yeah.
you had to guess, how many touches did it take to convert it?
Oh gosh, probably like 20 times. I mean, email, voicemail, video messages.
Say it again. 20?
Yeah.
20 guys. Are you hearing that? How many of you quit on your internet leads after the 5th conversation when it doesn't turn into a pot of gold? Right? Everybody quits too early. Not the Turco group, because they'll get stuck. You know what happens if you quit on an internet lead too early on the Turco group? They stick you out there at that lighthouse. You end up living in the lighthouse of doom.
Yeah.
And that's a true story.
It's a bad time if you quit on an internet lead.
I mean, if you're from Massachusetts, living in that is like awesome.
All right.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
This is Hash Paul. Hey, I have a question instead of anything, because I'm just 2 weeks in a real estate.
We're moving on to that part of the show, so go for it. What's your question?
I have quite a few questions that I like to ask to the group. First of all, is a gender matter? Because I've seen a lot of females, they get deals easier than the male. Is that true?
Not true. 100% untrue. So my business partner is a woman. Her name's Missy. And I constantly, every single day, have to deal with the pieces of the bullshit that she gets because she's a woman. So the way men talk to her, the way the negotiations go, the way that showing requests are held, the way that creepy dudes call her off the internet and sexually harass her, the number of things, like I knew this. My mom was a very attractive real estate agent when I was a little kid, still is. And my mom got harassment and bullshit my entire life, and I saw it. So I thought I really understood it because of my mom's experience. What I've seen in the last year with my experience with my partner, Missy, is insane. It is literally crazy. And every single day I have to get involved and be like, that's unacceptable. How, like, why would you, and it does not happen to me. Like literally the same person, the same situation, the same everything. I get treated like a king. She gets treated like dog shit. So no, they do not have it easier. Number two, yes, occasionally women can use their looks or their, sex appeal, whatever you want to call it, to generate leads.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that it usually results in a disproportionate amount of bullshit leads that do not go anywhere for guys that just want to waste your time, get in the car, drive around, put you in a dangerous position, sexually harass you. The number of inappropriate messages that get sent to female realtors around the country by other real estate agents and potential clients is disgusting at a very high level. So absolutely 1000%, my strong opinion being in this industry for over 20 years is that men have it way easier, just like they do in every other context of life. Men have it easier than women.
The reason I ask, because usually women is more feminine and also they have a polite sound,
Nope.
No,
Doesn't work that way. People with accents make better cold callers. So if you have an Australian or British accent or you sound good on the phone.
No, they sound sexy. I know.
Yeah. That works. That does help on the cold calling, I will say. But as far as, and yeah, are there times where a woman might have a little easier entry point with, a particular client when it's a kind of a cold lead or this or that? Yeah, occasionally that is a little bit easier. But guess what else? Women frequently, female agents will not be hired because they are considered too attractive and the wife doesn't want them working with their husband. Happens all the time.
There's also an entire layer of consideration around where we go and who we meet and where we are. So we're very mobile as agents and we drive all over. I mean, at any given point, my calendar is updated. My fiance knows where I'm going. He should technically have everyone's contact information, who I'm meeting with. Just there's this extra consideration when you're a woman traveling by herself, meeting strangers, going to private residences that you've never been to before, around safety and how you have to think about that.
Well, and you shouldn't be meeting strangers. You should have identification and a pre-approval and some details on anyone that you're meeting that you don't personally know. They should have to ideally come and like meet you somewhere public and present, at least give you identification to show they are who they say they are. And then Nicole and everyone else, there's an amazing app called Life 360 that you can have. It will update. So a lot of people use it with their kids, but it'll show you like how fast they're driving, where their location. I mean, it's pretty detailed as far as the tracking goes. I'm not a share my location kind of share a Facebook profile kind of guy, but safety first, man. So you may want to consider Life 360 as another alternative to share your location with somebody you trust, that, just in case, because we've heard way too many horror stories coming out of this industry with that. So.
Okay.
There's also services like Be Known, where you can look up people's records prior to meeting them and find out more information, whether they have any public criminal history records.
Cool. The reason I was asking, because I was wondering, is it that female dominated field? Then is there any chance for the male to be successful here?
Most of the most successful real estate agents in the country are men, even though 65% of the population of realtors are women. Okay.
My second question is, as you probably hear recently, the Zillow are trying to take over a real estate market. Just yesterday came out, they're trying to take over the sales person like us, that we are trying to get the license, and some of you guys already working on it. Means you guys already in this field. For me, I'm just trying to get the license. So is that going to impact our industry, like CSX and any other? Because I'm just trying to find out every aspect.
Yeah. Yes and no if you let it. And this industry could use about 50% less real estate agents. But I'll go ahead and let Joe answer this one. Joe, what's your opinion?
So my opinion is, generally speaking, considered controversial. You have no competition other than yourself. You cannot look at an advertising platform as a competitor. We have systematically allowed, and through endorsements of either our MLS or our syndications, or by paying, the proliferation of an advertising platform. If you are looking at a platform as something that is to be feared, you should be looking more towards Amazon, Facebook, or Google as something to be feared, because they are something where if Amazon bought Redfin, or if Amazon bought Compass, or if Amazon bought anything else, you will not have a job. But if you live in a constant state of fear, the sky is falling, or that everything is going to be based around one person or one thing in your business, you will not succeed. So by saying that one entity will potentially make it so that you don't have a career, you already don't have one. You need to look at what can you do, what niche do you serve, and what value do you have and provide, because there will always be things. There are people that want the buy now from Amazon, and there are people that want to go to the store and speak with someone to be helped to shop. There's always going to be different needs for different markets, for different circumstances. looking at something as silly as an advertising platform as an enemy is just a waste of energy that could be better used on prospecting.
Well, and it's a fun narrative that people like to put out there because it serves their purpose. In order to control people, you typically want to use fear to control their behaviors. And so a lot of brokerages are using Zillow as the boogeyman to control their population, to say, oh, if you work with me, I'll be your white knight and I'll save you from the evil Zillow empire that's coming to take your toys away. The reality is there's still travel agents to this day. I know it's not like a popular concept or idea to say, but there are still successful travel agents to this day. There's a lot less of them, but I bet you the ones that are still in business make a lot more money. And the reality is there's always somebody around the corner to disintermediate you. If you don't think that there's always a robot or a tech company or a system or a person, how about that guy who just started farming your neighborhood? How about Joe Turco when he comes down to Southern California and expands here? You think I'm not worried? You know, there's a new competitor being born every day, including Sahaj Paul. I got to protect my database from Sahaj Paul when he gets licensed and he starts calling them all and wants to hit them all up so they'll work with him instead of me, right? And he's going to be like, oh, I know John, he's the worst. I've seen him on his coaching, He's going to try and take my business away too, right, man?
No. Is there competition in there? Is there I mean, I'm not sure. Is there competition between us, each other, or
of course, everyone on the planet is my competitor, and everyone on the planet who's my competitor, I use to make me better. I need to be better than Zillow. I need to be better than Nicole. I need to be better than everyone. And what I need to be better at is I need to be better at building relationships with the people in my life. Because the relationships with the people I have in my life are all I ever need to hit every goal I could ever imagine.
So if we share the pie together, then there should not be a competition. The reason I'm asking, because I'm not sure why we are having a competition. Maybe I'm not catching the point.
If you're an independent contractor, everyone is an independent contractor,
right.
And you all have to go out and eat what you kill.
John, can I ask Sahaj a very simple question?
Sure.
Sahaj, if tomorrow somebody John knows comes to you and says, hey, I know that you work with Jon Pugh kind of and coach, but I actually want to use you, would you say no?
No, I will not say no, but I will tell him that, hey, I will share.
There you go.
Yeah. No,
Okay. We don't need to dwell on it, right? It's a co-opetition environment, right? So it's very critical that we work together to bring buyers and sellers together and work on the deals. And that's why we offer a cooperating broker compensation in the MLS. And at the same time, in order to get the deals and secure new clients and develop a database and get referrals, it is a competition in that regard. And so, but it's a friendly competition. It's a fun competition. And if you don't look at competition as a good thing, then you're probably going to go out of business.
Because I'm trying to understand how this industry works, how brokers and you guys will be my co-workers in case I have a license tomorrow. So how this thing works?
Well, only a few of us are really your competition locally because you're not in their market. This is open to agents all across the country. So technically, most of these people would be more like referral partners than direct competition. But at the same time, just know that at any brokerage, we have a great culture at EXP. We all are owners of the company together. We share information and all these other amazing things happen. And there's some other brokerages that are very collaborative as well. But most brokerages, any old school brokerage, Century 21 or Coldwell Banker or, new brokerages like Compass, anybody like that, their whole thing, their whole culture is extremely cutthroat. It is, I do me, and I don't care about anybody else who, even if you work at the office next to me, right? We work next to each other all day long. I don't care. And if you left early and you left your door unlocked, I'd probably go in and look through your files and try and steal your clients. That is your typical real estate office.
And the beauty about a situation like this is if that happened, John would probably be like, shit, what did I not do that allowed that person to go to Sahaj?
All day long.
He'd probably be like, good for you, Sahaj. Clearly I did something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if they're calling Zillow or Paula or Nicole or Tom Ferry or anyone else, if they're calling anyone but me, I screwed up.
Got it.
Or
Basically,
you just
you
got
have-
out relationship and they're just closer because they have a different bond. Like
Yeah.
that happens. There's
Yeah.
some things you
Sometimes-
can't overcome.
I might have a client that was my lifetime client. I did 5 deals with them. They love me. I'm the best realtor on the planet. They want to work with me forever. And then all of a sudden they start, dating a girl who's a realtor.
Hmm.
You think they're not going to use her?
No, definitely.
Right? It's just life. Like it just happens. So, all
Game
right,
over.
let's move on. Dylan, you had a question. What's your question, Dylan?
Oh no, I was just
Oh,
gonna
you're not
keep
on.
going, but if
Well, let's change topic. I think we beat that horse dead enough. Who has another question or something they'd like to address today?
I have a quick question. Sorry. Last time on the coaching call, I think it was Dylan said that he would let us know how to get the information for newly licensed,
Wow. No, it was Crusher. It was the Velociraptor.
divorce attorneys and probate attorneys.
Did you find
So the problem with this question is it's different in every state. Here's what I found in Massachusetts. Yeah, here's what I found in Massachusetts. There is there are 2 ways to get them easily, and I don't know that I'd call them easily, but Lawyers Weekly posts a list of all the new lawyers that come on. So you could, in theory, pick a year, subscribe to their listing, or in July, which is when in October, and this is state specific too, when all the people come out, you could like subscribe for a month and get a list of all the new people. So that's one way to do it. Also in Massachusetts, and I presume they have something similar wherever you are, there's a digest with like all the licensed lawyers. The problem is I can't find a download or anything. So I found like a PDF, and you can go alphabetically down, and all the years they became licensed are there. So you have to find like.
Here's the question. So who sells shit or who makes money off of newly licensed attorneys? And then go find that person, because that person has the list. It's just like if I needed a list of all the realtors, I'd go to a title rep. So if you can figure out where the money intersects with the new attorneys, you'll find the person who already has the list that you're looking for. Because there's got to be industries or entities that are already marketing to new attorneys. So they're already doing the legwork for you. We just have to figure out who that is.
Well, I'm wondering, I know, could you just go to california.com or californiagov.com or massgov.com, and you have all the licensed attorneys?
California Bar Association, like somebody has to have
Right.
it somewhere, right? But I don't know. I haven't done the
And-
research.
Well,
So.
I think every state has a mechanism, but it's probably not as well organized. Because look, bar organizations, law organizations are just like a lot of old organizations, right? Like, have they completely adjusted to current times? Can you just download a list of every lawyer and what year he got? The answer is no.
Who wants to create the EXP of attorneys? Let's go do this. Let's create the online EXP version for attorneys, because it sounds like they're stuck in the Stone Age too. And we need a
done,
Zillow.
Chris.
We need a
If
Zillow.
you go on the government website, because it's current, you want to make sure that their licenses are current and they're in good standing.
Yes.
But
you're
there's a
right.
difference between a lookup function and an export function, right?
Exactly.
Like you
Right.
can look up people, but you have to know their name or something about them. They're not just going to hand you a list of everyone who has the license.
Exactly. You can look me up in the state of Massachusetts right now and find me, but you have to know me. You can't just export a list of every lawyer and be like, I want every lawyer that was licensed in February of 2021.
You know, my favorite way to
Unless
do
you're suing the bar association and as part of your discovery, you request a list.
Let's do
Nicole,
that.
Nicole,
That's
what,
actually a great idea.
hold on, Nicole, what did you do in a past life? I want to know.
Yeah, she's dangerous.
What haven't I done in a
Don't-
past life, honey? How much time you got?
Don't
We need
ask.
to talk.
Don't
We need
answer
to
that.
talk.
Yeah, she's
who
dangerous.
wants to sue the bar association?
She's genius, man. All right. So my favorite way to find new attorneys or find anybody you're looking for is to ask the people you already know. So it's a really great way to reach out to the people that you're already in relationship with, either by social media or otherwise, to say, hey, I'm looking to meet more newly licensed attorneys. Who do you know who recently graduated from law school or passed the bar or is in law school right now? Another great way to do it, you guys want to see this? Watch this. Share screen. Oh, this is a flex if I've ever seen one. What? What? Hawaiian vacation is booked? Oh man, what a flex. All right, let's go to Facebook. Oh, it's not gonna let me log on. Oh, that sucks. I have to change my password. All right, I can't do this live, but I'll tell you what I was gonna do. So I was gonna go on Facebook and I was gonna search for Facebook groups. I was gonna go look for the California, oh, maybe it did let me log in. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can show this. Give me one sec. So if I find in here, attorney, so I don't know what I would look for. I don't know how to search this because I haven't tried this before. But if I go down here under groups and I put in attorney, then there's going to be a big attorneys at law, private group, whatever. So I really want a public group. So ideally what I would find is like an attorneys group. I'll show you guys this really quick on how this works. I want groups. Okay, Los Angeles lawyers, right? So now it's a private group, so I would like to be able to go in, but what you can do is see here members. If I join this and I go to members, I can see a list of everyone who's a member in my area. So they may not let me in, right? Because it seems like an attorneys group and like whatever, but there may be a public group. So SoCal Attorney Network. See how I found this right here? So if I go in here and I look at this and I go under members, it will show me right here at the top who are my friends that are members, and it will show me members with things in common, and then it will show me members near me. And I can just go right in here and add friend. See how that works? You can do this with any hobby and any group.
I'm a member of all the neighborhood Facebook groups in my area.
Yeah.
So I think that you can also go on there because people always ask for recommendations for certain things.
Yeah, you can ask for recommendations in any group like that. But do you see how that applies to not just attorneys, but you can go find anyone you're looking for? Yeah. You find a common interest, you find a large group that has 1,000+ members, and then you go into the membership area and you just find the people that are near you. So if I want to go into the snowboarding group, because I like to snowboard, and I want to see all the members that are within near me, right, in that snowboarding group, I can go in and use that to add 20 new friends. And then whenever they accept my friend request, I can private message them and say, hey, thanks for accepting my friend request. I requested you because we both live in SoCal and we both love snowboarding. How are things going? How are you handling the quarantine? Have you been up this season? Where did you go to ride? How was it? You know, where's the best place to go during COVID? What's the most epic snowboarding trip you've ever taken? Whatever, right? If you've never done that before, it sounds weird. If you do it in practice, it's totally normal. You guys have common values, common interests. You start with basic questions. Next thing you know, you're liking some of their comments and posts and you guys are chatting, whatever, and then you're best friends. And now they're referring business to you.
Well, John, if I might, like all of us are calling people in our sphere or whatever every single day. So just if anyone in your sphere knows somebody that's a new lawyer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was the first thing I said, right? It's
like, sorry, I wasn't, I stepped away.
That's fine. Yeah, start with your sphere. Ask them, who do you know who's in law school? Who do you know who just graduated law school? Who do you know who just passed the bar? Like, that's a great place to start. But then there's all these other ways to add in random people on any category of anything you're ever trying to find. Facebook is your best friend for all of that. So, next question. That's it. Okay, we're done. No, just kidding. We could talk about some stuff. What have I seen lately that is crazy? Oh, so multiple offer situations. So I have 11 offers in on my latest listing, and I had an agent reach out to me and say, hey, you know, do you have offers? I said, yes. They said, how many? I said, 11. They said, hey, I'm an agent, but I'm buying for myself. would you represent me in the purchase and, you know, help me get it, right? Basically, I want to work with the listing agent to get it. I'm an agent, but I want it for myself. Well, guess what? Coincidentally, she also worked for EXP. So I'm like, all right, I have 11 offers. We're selling at 100,000 over asking. Like, this agent wants me to represent her. She wants me to kick back some of my commission to her as a credit, which is fine, but I'm not going to even get a full commission on that other side, which I don't really want to be in dual agency anyway, right? Because I've already got 11 offers. I'm already selling it way over asking. Do I really want to put my license and my liability on the line to have a small piece of this extra commission, this extra money? Like it would end up to me like $2,000. Like it'd be ridiculous. Like, would I really do all this for $2,000? And so what did I do? I reached out to my state broker and I said, hey, Deborah, here's the situation, da 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 da. And she called me and she's like, why would an EXP agent in California want you to represent them on a purchase? Da da. I'm like, well, I think she wants me to get her the deal, right? Like she's trying to sneak her way into the deal. I'm like, way too much liability, right? She's like, yeah, that's crazy. Don't do it. Like, tell her to write her own offer. So I hit her back up. I said, write your own offer, do whatever you want with the commission, give the commission back to the seller to improve your offer, or keep the commission to improve the price that you're comfortable going to. And, you know, good, you know, everything. I told you the price, I told you everything. So good luck, here you go. And so I was fully transparent. I told her exactly the price we were at. I sent her the counteroffer terms because we already sent multiple counteroffers out. So I copied and pasted the counteroffer terms to her so that she could write the perfect offer from step one. And now I have 2 perfect offers, the one somebody wrote and the one that she matched. And so I'm going to give them both to the seller and I'm going to say, here's the backstory on both of them. Here's the qualifications. Here's the details, da, 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 da. By the way, here's the 5 other backup offers that are like 20, 30,000 less. How do you want to handle this? And then I'm going to let the seller choose, because ultimately, if I tell him to pick her and it goes sideways, it's my fault. If I tell him to pick the other one and it goes sideways, it's my fault. So basically, no matter what happens, if it goes sideways, I lose. So the only way I win is to say, hey, I got you 2 really great offers and I got you 6 amazing backup offers and I sold your house for 100,000 over. And I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to make you buy me that dinner we talked about in Vegas, because that was the deal. I told them if I sold it over a certain price, they were going to have to take me to Vegas and buy me dinner. And we blew that price out of the water.
Must be nice living so close.
We are many, many, many $1,000s over that steak dinner price. So I am ordering whatever I want in Vegas. All right, next question. Anyone?
I have two amateur questions, so I'm sorry.
No.
One is, let's say you get a deposit check and they tell you to hold it for a certain amount of time, over 3 days.
Never touch the money.
But you can hold it over 3 days without depositing it into a trusted account.
Never touch the money. Never touch the money. Never touch the money. Don't touch it. Just don't touch it. No, I don't want your deposit check. You can give your deposit check to escrow. I don't want it.
Okay.
Don't ever take their money for any reason, for anything, not for a lease, not for anything. Don't ever touch the money. Because if you touch the money, then you have to register it in the trust log. And then you have to da 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 da. And then you have to da 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 da. So you will screw it up somewhere along the lines. And that is one of the biggest things that you'll get busted for from the DRE. So if you want to avoid that entirely forever, never touch the money. Then you don't have the problem.
And you don't have to open a trust account.
Don't touch the money, ever.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Done. That's a good question though, because I haven't talked about that in a long time. So, and if anybody wasn't clear on my advice is don't touch the money. And Nicole knows, I mean, I probably drilled that into her head on day 1 too, right? I've never not been very clear about that.
I'm never one to be a freaking cashier. That's escrow's job.
Yeah. If I wanted to touch money, I'd work at Target.
Can I ask a question about, so I just had a client, he's not necessarily looking to move, but he's getting started. Like his lease isn't over till November, so it was a long time. But we just put an offer in on a place that he unfortunately didn't get. But one thing I kind of noticed with him very quickly is his reluctance to get to the number that we would have needed. For context, it was a $445,000 home. We offered 460. The accepted offer at the end of the day was substantially higher. So he's also not from America. So I don't know if there's any advice on how to like
Easy. So
handle just being like, hey, we need to go really high.
Super easy. So go take every closing from March in that price range from 450 to 550 and show him where they started and what price they closed at.
Okay.
So show him how every sale that closed so far this month closed for 20 or 30 or 40,000 over what they were originally priced at.
Okay.
And if you want to be really aggressive, call the pendings and see if any agents will give you any intel, because that's your most up-to-date information right there.
Well, that was my second part, is you have to explain to him when you show him those, you have to say, look, these are the ones that went on the market in January and they just now closed. The market's even crazier today. So next week we'll get some of the ones from February, and the week after that we'll get more, but I'm going to show you, and then show him every single week. Just pull up all the closings for the week and show him how, and keep it in the price range that he's looking at. And then show him how the 425 sold for 470 and the 470 sold for 510 and so on and so forth. And then he'll just get a weekly update. And you can say, look, based on this information, what percent do you see as being the most common where these homes are selling for? You could tell him what percent what it is, right? Oh, in this price range between 450 and 500, homes are selling for 5% over asking on average, right? You could just do the math for him and tell him that. He won't learn it the same way. If you make him do the math and you make him fill out the worksheet, so basically you could create like a little learner worksheet, and it would have little fill in the blanks. And then you could say, here's your homework. Here's the data. Here's the worksheet. Fill out the worksheet and let me know what your thoughts are and what your questions are when you're done. And then when he does that exercise, he's going to quickly realize that he needs to be shopping at 440 to land at 500 or whatever it is.
Right. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Helpful?
Very.
Cool. And Nicole's right. Pendings are going to give you better data, but it's not concrete, right? You can't print it out and point to it. It's ethereal.
But it also makes you look like a badass because you did the extra work and you have the most up-to-date information, and it looks like you know what you're talking about because it's information that no one else has.
Well, and the traditional thing to do would be to just take the ones that he misses and just fill in the blanks for him. So sometimes people need to miss one 4 or 5 or 6 times to learn, right? That's called a slow learner. And so, if he missed it, then you can just go back to him and say, hey, I know we wrote 460, just so you know, they accepted 500. And then the next one, you can say, hey, remember we wrote 20,000 over and I told you it was going to go way over that? Well, guess what? They accepted 510. And then you can say, look, the last one sold in January. These I pulled up, they were on the market in January, and in March they sold for 460. And now the ones that are listed in March for 460 are selling for 500. In June, what do you think is going to happen? And let him answer. Let him fill in the blanks for where he thinks the market is going to go, because the only logical answer is higher. And so you're going to say, so would you rather miss out on 3 more months worth of properties and then buy for 20% more? Or would you rather offer 10% over today's prices and lock yourself in on something and we can stop doing this?
Okay.
Or just take that thing from the broke agent or whatever that says, hey, I think there was a mistake. You set your offer in blank. No, you fill that shit out. I'm just sick of shopping these people. So you can always show them that. And say, hey, we can just send it. We can send it over blank.
Let me challenge you a little bit though, like this concept, because we all have these clients that think that like we're going to time the market. So you just mentioned like, oh, if you wait 3 months, you're going to pay 20% more. Like, how do you deal with that client who's like, well, no, the market's going to fall eventually. So.
Chris, I want you to do a live experiment with me, okay?
Okay.
I want you to tell me when we hit the top of the market, okay? Just say go.
Go.
Oh, did you time it?
No.
No, you got it here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do that experiment with them. Here, we'll do it again. Tell me when we get to the top of the market.
No, damn it.
Exactly. Tell me when we get to the top of the market. Tell me when we get to the top of the market.
I got it that time. I got it that time.
You'll never get it, right? Because you can't time the top of the market.
Close. I was pretty close, John.
That's number one, right? So number one is you can do that exercise with them and tell them they'll never time the market, right? They'll never time a bottom. They'll never time a top. The only thing you can do is decide, are you ready? What's your timeline? How long is it going to go? Now, let's put that aside, right? So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you can't time the market. That's stupid. Second thing is, let's talk about it. So everyone on this call, I want you to give me a reason why, how in the world, someone explain to me for the next 5 minutes, give me any reason why the market's going to come down. Someone defend that position.
It's
Forbearance expiring.
Forbearance. Okay, cool. So in Orange County right now, we have roughly 2,000 homes for sale, and a balanced market is 8,000 homes. So we have a deficit of about 6,000 homes. Do you think that there will be 6,000 foreclosures coming on the market in the next 2 years to meet that deficit of supply and demand? I think 6,000 is a little steep. Number two, there won't be any foreclosures because everyone has more equity than they've ever had. So you can't really have foreclosures when you have equity. All you can have is sales. So again, would that be a bad thing? If all of a sudden the inventory doubled and we went from 2,000 homes to 4,000 homes, we're still 50% off of a balanced market. We're still in a deep seller's market, even if we double the current availability of homes on the market. That will not push prices down. Next.
Evictions, more inventory.
Evictions, same thing. That we don't have enough. You'll never catch that inventory. You can take every eviction, every fake foreclosure, forced sale, behind on my payments, forbearance, all that, throw them all in there. And we'd have to multiply our inventory by 4. It would have to go up 400% to get to a balanced market. Balanced. It's not even a buyer's market. 400%. Yeah, so that's the question, right? What's going to happen with rates? So let's say hypothetically that we get all this new inventory and it comes on and everything else happens in like what time period? 6 months or a year? 2 years? How long? So what's the interest rate likely to be then? If the interest rate goes up half a point on a $700,000 to $800,000 deal, so today if you're buying at 800,000 and it goes up half a point, your purchasing power just went down 100,000. Now you can only afford a $700,000 house. So waiting doesn't help you because you're going to pay a higher payment or you're going to get less house. And prices probably aren't going to come down. They're probably going to flatten. And so now you're going to have a higher interest rate on a flat market. So that doesn't help. Now let's do the really good one, right? Where are they living now? So in most cases, people want to either sell while the market's toppy, right? Toppy. I feel like the market's overheated. I'm going to sell at the top. I'm going to rent for a couple of years and then I'm going to buy. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why that doesn't work. So I sell my house for 500,000. Fair?
Yep.
Okay. And I have 200,000 in equity that I pocket. Okay. I bought it for 300. I sell it for 500. I pocket 200,000. What are the fees and costs associated with selling my house?
Capital gains.
Nope. No capital gains, but I have to pay realtors.
5%, 6%, depending where you are.
So how much does that come out to on a $500,000 house?
18,000, 20,000
per side.
Yeah, so like 40,000 roughly.
Plus closing costs.
55,000.
Okay, so what's my net?
145,000.
Now, how much is it going to cost me to rent that $500,000 home I was living in?
2,000.
3,000, right? $500,000 house, probably about 2,500. Okay,
Yeah.
what's 2,500 times 12?
Grand.
30.
Okay, so now what's my net?
115.
Just over 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I lost my write-offs and my deductions because I owned my home. So now I'm a renter, so I don't get those. So how much more do I have to pay in taxes?
Again, way too much.
A little bit more, right? So what are we left with? We're left with about 100,000. Now that gets us to the first year. In 12 months, will prices have come down 100,000? What was that? What's 100,000 on 500,000? That's 20%. Will prices have dropped 20% in a year? And that's how much money you lost. Now, let's say, oh, prices aren't down, so we got to wait another year. Well, now add another 25,000 in rent. Now you've only got 75,000 left. Now prices had to come down 125 grand. So they had to come down like 25, 30%. Did prices come down 35% in 2 years? No. So you will never be able to sell at the top and rent on the sidelines and then have the market adjust and then get back in at the bottom. That will never, ever, ever happen. So the only way that works is if you sell at the top with an investment property, and then you take your proceeds and you go put that money somewhere else to work for you. So I sold my investment property. It was a condo that I bought. It was my first home. I sold it. I paid the gains. I took 100,000. I put it in Bitcoin. Great. You put your money in Bitcoin. If you want to buy later when the market tanks, you can sell your Bitcoin. You can move it back into real estate. That's totally fine. Or I want to sell my primary residence and I'm going to go move in with my parents. I'm going to live with my parents or a friend or a different property I own or whatever until the market corrects. And then I'm going to make a move. Okay, I guess that's fine. But selling your primary residence to go make yourself a renter to pay someone else's mortgage while you wait for property values to maybe come down is probably the dumbest thing you could possibly do. Can you all see why that math doesn't work?
Yep.
Yep.
We're not worth
It's all the costs.
Not worth
I like the analogy. I just have to.
Yeah.
Because I know people did that. I know people right now that just did it. They sold last year. They sold when they thought it was high last year, and now they've been renting a year.
And now they're priced out of the market. They can't get back in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, because there's no inventory. Yeah.
They're fucked.
Yeah.
So sorry, but like that's where a good real estate agent, do you see how talking someone out of selling, if that's their story, like that's the time where you're more valuable than ever. If you want to tell a client what to do, tell them not to sell when they're that crazy and they have that scenario. Like, yes, did some guy decide to sell in February of 2007 and go rent and make the best decision of his life? Yeah, but that was a cataclysmic market meltdown. That is not your typical real estate cycle. That is a real estate industry cooked loan mortgage nightmare, big short, triple disaster economic crisis the world has never seen, right? That is not what we're going to see next. People have equity. Buyers are qualified. Everyone is qualifying on their own merit. There is no fluff in the system in that regard. So buy and hold.
I think people believe that like this drive is COVID and that's it. And you mentioned worst case scenario flattens out. I use that a lot. But we'll probably flatten out for a little while, but we're not going to see 2008 again. Like we're just not.
Well, let's run that scenario. So let's talk about it really quick. So what happens if all of a sudden interest rates go up 2%?
Okay.
Well, guess what? You can't sell because you can't go qualify for your purchase.
Right.
Because the interest rate's too high. So I won't sell because now I have nowhere to go because I can't qualify for a new rate. So guess what? Now there are less sellers. Well, now also guess what? The entire country just refinanced at an ultra low, historic, forever low rate. What happens when they can't pay their mortgage? If they're smart, they'll rent it out because it cash flows, because it's historically low. The interest rate is so low that the property cash flows. So they're not going to sell either. Even if I can't stay in my home, unless I just have to tap my equity, I would just go rent for whatever my mortgage would pay. Why would I get rid of my property? That doesn't make any sense. So you're going to have less and less and less people that are going to be in a position to sell their home because everyone is going to be trapped in their rate and their equity. And we're going to have all these people locked up. As rates go up, the market, the inventory in the market is going to be locked up. And then what everyone's forgetting is in 2007, there was no such thing as a private property real estate rental portfolio. There was no such thing as a large organization like BlackRock who owned single family homes across America that they rented as part of their business model. That didn't exist. It was generated through the recession. So now there are these large entities like BlackRock that hold a large portion of the market. Those homes are never coming to market. If BlackRock wants to sell their assets to reallocate once they've fully depreciated on their amortization scale, they can sell them off slowly, piece by piece. But BlackRock would never shoot themselves in the foot by flooding the market with all of their inventory. So now if we had 100 homes for sale ever in America, BlackRock took 20% of them, and those are just locked in the vault that will never get sold again. So if you factor all these things together, long term, we're going to be stuck in this supply problem for a very, very long time. That's my opinion. All right, let's do some ahas. What did you guys learn today? Not all at once.
I think I could pick one, John. It was a great session.
Never touch money.
Never touch the money. Yes. Honestly, I'm done. That's all I needed to hear. Now I feel good about my life. What else?
Talking people out of renting.
Yeah.
Just a cap at the top of the market.
You cannot time the market.
Yeah.
It's fine to steal clients from John. Totally
You
fine.
can steal my clients all day long. I actually have an agent that I just brought on, and I sent her my entire pipeline. She's like,
Joe.
You didn't delete these. See, Joe. She's like, you didn't delete these. I'm like, what do I care? You can have all my clients' info. Call them. They love me. Like, you're not going to steal my clients from me. Anyone else? Give me one more aha.
Thanks to you guys to give me a confidence, because I was thinking totally different way for the real estate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And also, if you don't mind, John, is there a way I can get your phone number or anything, so this way I can contact you after meeting?
Sure, I'll pop it in here right now.
Thank you.
There you go. All right, any more ahas?
Do the extra work for your client.
Oh, Dylan, you first.
Go ahead.
There's always extra work that you can do for your client.
Yeah, go the extra mile. Last one.
Reaching out to my title rep so I can know which brand new agents are coming in so we can recruit them.
Amen. I love it. Paula, actually remind me after this, I have a list of all the new licensees. I will send that to you. You can write them handwritten letters if you want.
Love it. Thank you.
Or look them up or whatever. I have all the data and I'm not doing it. So anybody, Nicole, same offer to you, Stans, obviously, and anybody else who wants that. I have the new licensee data, so I'm happy to send that out.
Thanks.
Can I ask you a quick question? Just quickly, one.
Last question, super quick.
After you get the license, is the CSX give us some mentor training or give us some, they assigned a person who can mentor us or something?
Yeah, we'll help you find a mentor. We will also continue to do this group coaching every Wednesday. We have a group coaching that's available to our partners on Monday mornings. We have one on Thursdays, and we have one, those are the main ones. So there's a bunch of training. We'll help you find a mentor. There's also a Fast Start series, and they just launched a new initiative that's called Excel. I don't remember what it's called, but they just launched another new for specifically geared just towards new agents. So there is a ton of training available once you get your license. All right, guys, have a good one.
Thank you.
Go out and sell some houses. Let me know if I can help along the way. See you guys next week.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Bye.